Welcome to another episode of Growing in Real Estate with myself, Jacob Davenport. It's all about growing in real estate and connecting with like-minded individuals to be able to bring value to you, our guests. Today, Trey and I are masterminding, Trey Micheletti, my partner, we're masterminding about a few concepts, but we brought in some high talent, some individuals that can really bring a lot of value. These are some phenomenal gentlemen from the Central Valley. Go ahead and introduce yourselves.
I'll start off with it. My name's Karan. I'm the dispositions guy with I buy Central Valley. I'm the youngest brother out of everybody here. And I started back in October, and I've been going on for almost a year now, in a couple months here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My name is PJ Khinda. Started real estate back in 2018. Got busy with these guys beginning of 2023, fully into it, and I'm head of acquisitions at I buy Central Valley. So,
yeah, my name's Aman Khinda. I head the marketing and operations department in our company. I buy Central Valley, and we started the company back in 2021, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Absolutely. How about you? Who are you?
Trey Micheletti.
Absolutely. You got a small introduction for us?
No, I don't have an introduction for myself. I mean, I run the behind the scenes. Usually I'm behind the camera, so it's weird being in front of the camera now. But to anybody that is on our Google Meet right over there, we got a few people popping in. And for anybody that's listening to this on podcast, we do a Community Deal Mastery 101 where we give this type of podcast exclusive and live. And then we give everybody the opportunity to do a Q&A at the end. Hopefully, Aman, you'll be there for that. But if we don't run a little long, but we're going to try to get it done. We got some good concepts today.
We do. Let's dive right into it. I always try to get high-level individual on our podcast to bring value. And I've done many one-on-one podcasts. I've done some solo podcasts. I've done a group podcast with Trey once or twice, or maybe even 3 times. But I've never had 3 guests on the podcast. I've never had 3 family members, and I've never had a group that is moving the needle the way you guys are doing it. And you're located in Central Valley, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
How long you been in business?
We started this company officially in 2021. But prior to that, me and PJ, because PJ started this, way before me and Karan did. I mean, we grew up in the real estate industry, but PJ, became an agent, I think back in 2018. And I saw him doing all these flips and things, and I was like, man, like, that looks pretty cool. Like, let's do one together. Yeah. So, and then we did our first flip together, and I was like, all right, like, made some money, and we were like, let's make this a business. Let's open up our own operation. So, now here we are.
That's some big stuff. Correct me if I'm wrong. In 12 months, you grossed over $1 million in revenue.
yeah, so from last year to this year, that's like the trajectory we're headed towards. Right now, doing about 6 to 8 deals a month. Our goal for this year is a little close to 1.7 million. We're on track right now. As long as we keep hitting our KPIs for the month, we'll hit that goal by the end of this year. So next year, we're looking to double that. So for us, what's really important, that's been really working for us, is that we're really, really big on our metrics, on our KPIs. Really tracking our numbers to see how close we are to that needle. And if we got to make any differences or any changes, we'll do that during the week.
I think that's a perfect opportunity for some gold right there. What are a couple KPIs that you guys are tracking to get to that point of 1.7 million and 6 to 8 deals a month? What are some of those KPIs?
I'll talk for acquisitions basically, but offers per deal. How many offers it takes to get a deal, dials per deal. So we have a full spreadsheet sent out. He's the brains behind all that, but basically me and the acquisition manager, every day we do our dials, we'll put down our dial count, our processes, what it took to get that offer, and then our offers to get that deal. So right now we're hovering around 2.7 offers per deal. So it's really nice to go on that scoreboard every single day and say like, hey, Aaron, that's our acquisition guy. Hey, man, we're at 1 offer right now. We need another 2 offers. We're going to get a deal. So your KPIs are so important. Before this, I was running blind. I didn't care. I just picked up the phone and dialed, which is cool. But when you actually start looking at your KPIs, you really start to understand the science of your business, which is really, really big.
Because then you can make educated decisions on, what's working, what's not working, right? Yeah. So we're really big on that. On the marketing side, we track, I don't know, it's like a rabbit hole, man. Honestly, we track so many different things. When we close a deal, we track all those things. For example, we track, like, are we getting more properties that are like 2 beds or 3 beds? And based off of that, like, for example, like us, we don't really get that many deals in the 1 bedroom category. So we take those out of our marketing, and that helps save on marketing dollars, right? Which in turn, helps increase our profit over time.
And double down in other areas and make the adjustments. Even for myself being in business, I've learned just how important data is. And when I mastermind with folks like you, one thing that I can tell a lot about somebody's business and even either where they're at or how far they're very likely going to go is I look at data and is data important to them and how they utilize data, because data will allow you to really make projections and adjustments in your business. And so when we're hustling or we're grinding or we're taking just the entrepreneurial basic route, it's how many times can I throw something at the wall to make it stick and do things to continue to make other things stick? And it may not be a rhyme or reason. We may go to our strengths and say, hey, I'm good on dollars, I'm good on the phone, I'm good in person, and we'll do those things, but that really only gets you so far. But when you're running a business, not necessarily working in a business, and when you're running an operation and you're taking it to the next level, data becomes so important because it tells a story.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it really tells
exactly.
a story. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, Jake, we do like cost per deal, how much it costs us per direct mail to get a deal. I think we're shy of $5,000 per deal right now.
No, actually, we're lower. We're like $4,200.
Yeah. So
every 42. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, no,
every 42. Basically, what that means is every $4,200 that we spend will land us a deal, statistically speaking.
Yeah.
Right. We even track how many pieces it takes, right, of mail to send out to people's mailboxes. Right now, we're hovering at I think right about like 5,200 pieces. So what does that mean? That means every 5,200 pieces that I mail out should get us a deal statistically.
Yeah. An average deal per profit right now is around 32,000. So it really lets us understand, like, when he's sending out letters, he's like, hey, Aaron, hey, PJ, we're about to send that these many letters are going on. We should be getting a deal soon here. So KPIs for our, people who work with us, it keeps them motivated too. Because if they can't see the data, man, they're running blind. They don't know what they're working towards. But my guy can hop on every single day on Excel and see exactly where we're at, and it motivates him. Like, okay, today's Thursday, Aaron. You need another offer and get another deal. And we're super pumped up. You know what I mean? It gets the office going.
And as leaders too, it helps us hold our team accountable. Because if we don't have KPIs, then and we're over here telling our guys like, hey, what's going on? Yeah. But we don't have numbers to back it up. We kind of look like idiots.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think has been the biggest difference? Because PJ, you've definitely been in entrepreneurship for some time. Let's take a step back. Before you got into real estate, what were you doing?
Before I got in real estate, I was in college. I go to San Jose State, and it was going well. College was just never for me.
What does that mean?
Just going in and memorizing things and tests and this and that. I always just had an entrepreneurial, background and everything else, even growing up in school and everything else, and just not really getting good grades and everything. And one day I just, sat down with my parents. I'm like, hey, look, I'm dropping out of college. And mom wasn't really too supportive of it. Dad just he had to act like he supported, but he supported my journey. He always told me, he's like, school's not for everyone. My dad was super entrepreneurial since the day he came here. And then, I was barely passing, man, like 2.0 GPAs, it just wasn't for me. Right. And then right when I let go of school, I got into real estate. And that first year I did pretty well for myself. And I knew I was just like, this is for me. When
you say pretty well, is that metric monetarily? Was it flips? Was it sales? What does that mean?
Monetarily, first year, I got out, I was like around 22, 23, almost did about 6 figures the first year.
That's solid.
Yeah.
That's solid.
Yeah. So, and then after that, I got in touch with Diego, we were talking about before, a huge,
solid guy.
Yeah. Huge in the renovation space, flipping, doing a lot of volume. He took me under his wing, and I learned so much through him and through his investors and the mistakes they made, that when I joined with these guys, I exactly knew, like, okay, like, these things aren't right, these things are not that we don't make mistakes still, but I was able to learn through his lens, through his investors.
That can give you a lot of confidence, right?
Yes, a lot of confidence.
And it's like a springboard into what has a very hard barrier to break, right? It's always about, I want to get in real estate, I don't know how. The information is out there, but one of the things you were able to acquire, and something, a kind of similar experience I had, is when you have the foundation of the actual practical know-how, right? And you've seen it be successful, you can vision yourself and walk into that with the level of confidence that you just can't buy, no matter how much data, how much money you have, or how much inventory is at your fingertips.
Okay.
Jumping off that side of the ledge seems to be something I see as a bottleneck for many individuals.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Absolutely.
How about yourself? Before you got into real estate, what were you doing?
So before this, I went to college. I did computer science, graduated, with my bachelor's in that space. And, I got my first job about like 8 to 9 months later. And I started my job, I think it was January of, I don't even know, like 2019 or whenever COVID started.
Right.
Yeah. So I started my job. I was stoked. We're going to be going to the office. I get to, do what I studied, right? So, I was an automation engineer, and 3 months in, COVID happened. Everyone was sent home. So I was so bummed out because I was excited. This is my first gig. You know. But I know it's like a blessing in disguise, honestly, because I always knew, growing up, we were born into a house of entrepreneurs. That I also wanted to be one. My whole idea was maybe do it 5 years after I work my job and learn what I learned there, and then COVID happened, and it kind of fast tracked that whole goal. So.
It's the same experience. What we're talking about as far as getting into real estate flipping is what's the best time to start your entrepreneurship journey? What's the best time to chase your dream? I think that should always be plan A. Trey really talks about that a lot. The circumstances force you to do what you already should have been doing, which was to do your purpose, do your goals. And for somehow we have in our head that, I'm going to wait on my goals and I'm going to work on this thing to kind of prepare me for it. I'm going to buy myself some time. Yeah. But when it comes to these big goals, we have to be very intentional. Sometimes you get forced off the ledge, and sometimes you just at the ledge and you're like, all right, I'm just going to jump, right?
You know what's interesting about entrepreneurship? I saw a post by Gary Vee today, actually, and I just pulled it up. And the title of the post is How to Start Doing Shit. And the first one is, ask yourself, what do I want to do every day for the rest of my life? Do it now. Yeah. And that reminds me of that. It's like we always want to put these different barriers, these different hurdles in front of ourselves, these different milestones that we have to hit. Right. When in reality, if you just get started, you're going to fast track yourself towards the end goal that you're looking for anyways. And you could enjoy the hell out of the process. Hard, but you could enjoy the hell out of the process.
Imperfect action, man, is way better than one perfect action.
Right.
And that's how I've always been, man. I haven't been the most organized guy, not the best grades in school, but I'll just go out there and just start dialing. Mm-hmm. Like when I got first into real estate, I just every single day, 8 hours a day, dialing. Rejected, but every single day. And that leads to your first deal, your second deal, your third deal. You build confidence over time, when someone, and objections too. Now we have a script and everything. We have sales training and all that. But when I first started, I had none of that. And I was just like, hey, I got to get punched in the face a couple of times. And then eventually you start to figure out that, the more reps you keep doing, just like working out, the better you're going to get.
It's that period of eating shit that every founder has to go through. Because somebody's going to have to eat the shit. And generally speaking, if you're trying to start something big, it's going to be the founder. It's going to be the founders. It's going to be those beginning people so they can lay the framework for everybody else to come after. Because you guys said that you're reading the book, Buy Back Your Time. And a pivotal part of that is getting the system set up. So when people come in, you're not having to take over for every one of their mistakes. You eat the shit so you can set up the frameworks so they can win in the future so you can grow.
And that's huge for us too, is we have all of our systems, our processes to the T, so our team, when they walk in the door, they have everything in front of them. They know what to do. There's no doubt in their mind that hey, I'm going to come in today and I don't know what to do,
right?
Or how to do it, right? We provide the proper training that's necessary from the get-go, right? And we're very clear about our expectations. I think that's one thing we've learned, through, our mastermind that we're part of, is set expectations from the get-go. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't, then,
with clarity.
Yeah, you can only blame yourself then.
You can only blame I went through that. But I want to touch on one thing. I think that I've had the time to, and I want to tap in with you as well. I've had the time to spend a lot of time with all of you, or enough time, and I think that I have a pretty clear idea about your different styles and strengths. Mm-hmm. And in a lot of ways, from the journey into real estate, you and I have some similarities. I think even some learning similarities, right? Strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. And I bring that up because and you tell me what you think, because I'm always trying to find more about myself. When you say you got into the business and you start dialing, you start making these things happen, and school wasn't for you. Maybe it was too cool for school. Man.
Too cool for school.
Yeah,
Well, the
school
fool.
wasn't for you. For me, Aman and Karan, you both are very analytical, right, and very organized. At least that's what it appears to me, right? You said earlier, you're not that organized.
Yeah.
Sometimes with personalities, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, we may be too stupid to know that we can fail.
Too dumb to quit.
Yeah.
Too dumb to quit.
So it's like, if you're looking at it analytically
Yeah.
or statistically, you're saying, man, you got to make 1,000 calls to get one. No matter, not knowing the money or effort that goes into cold calling, the two of you might say 1,001. I can just go do this, and the odds are more in my favor, 10 to 1.
Yeah.
And so when you say, hey, you just start calling, how many calls you were going to have to call or how many no's you're going to get, you didn't even think about that.
Yeah. I didn't have no KPIs.
Yeah,
then.
you're just gonna figure it out as you go.
I just learned one thing: is the more no's you get, you're gonna get closer to a yes. I took that one slogan and just ran with it. So,
I'm with you. I'm like, I only need one.
Yeah,
that's one.
that's all I
And
need,
so
man.
I don't know if those odds would work if you were betting on something else.
You got to have that balance though, because you got the one person that's hard headed, that's going to go, but then you got these two guys that are on the back end to help systematize it and make it more smooth and make it more scalable.
yeah, the integrators. You need the integrators on.
That's what I'm catching. I'm catching, and you and I, we connected from social media.
Yeah.
Man, I'm telling you, if it wasn't for brother, if it wasn't for my brother right here, we connected.
It's all because of this guy.
I gotta shout out Jake though, like the way we connected though.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know if you,
Oh, that deal, man!
I don't know if you remember.
Remember, you
but-
walked that property for us out in Sac.
in Sacto.
Oh,
In
man.
Sacto.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I remember I made an Instagram post on my story, and I was asking everybody like, "Hey, like we had this deal out in Sacramento. Can somebody go out there and take pictures?" Like all of us were just too busy in the office at the time, and everybody was like asking like, "Yeah, how much is it? You know, where do I need to go? You know, what's the compensation like?" And then I got a DM from this guy, and he was saying, "I'll do it for free." I was like. I asked these guys. I was like, I don't know if he's like being like trolling me or like what.
Yeah, I was like, why the hell is he gonna do it for free? Like, who is this guy?
Hey, analytical. Why are you getting?
But, I don't know. Yeah, it's analytical, right? Statistically speaking, this makes no sense, right?
Yeah, and that's like the awesome part about it. I mean, Jake, he went out to the property, he took the pictures, and then he called us afterwards. He gave me like play by play, detail by detail, exactly on how everything went. And I put him on speaker with the guys like, can you guys like listen to this guy? Like this guy did this for free. And the people that we would have paid would have just sent pictures and like would have been done with us, whatever it is.
Right.
And I think that's a huge thing that I saw out of you, man, was that like you showed me that like value can be added without like monetary gain.
Man, come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Give me one more for that.
Yeah.
And truthfully, when I saw your post, I saw it. I said, okay, there's a need, and we're all busy. But then I went to your page, and what really came from your page is focus and humility, right? And I didn't know that you were in business with your brother and your cousin. I couldn't know. I think at one point I spoke to one of you. I didn't know who. That's the thing. Whenever I'm talking to you guys on the phone, I never knew who I'm talking to. Right?
All the same last
It's
name,
all
everything.
one. It's all one, right? Come on, here we go.
Yeah.
And I saw humility, but I also saw a young individual grinding. So not knowing how deep in the business you were, for me, it's a no-brainer because it's sometimes you could do a lot with a little.
Yeah.
And I frequent Sacramento because I'm from Sacramento, so I was already going to be in that path. And so it was no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. And then we ended up connecting in person. We grabbed some Chick-fil-A. We ran by some properties one day. And then we just kept masterminding. And look at that is how we got here today. Yeah. And then when I found out how much you guys had going on, I was like, oh, my gosh, man, these guys are freaking crushing it. But at the time, I didn't know. I didn't. And you guys are crushing it. So as far as different roles, what's your role within the business?
So I'm the dispositions manager. So I'm the guy that finds the buyers for the deals that he brings, and like through his marketing, of course. And I also oversee like one of our relationship managers, and his pure responsibility is just bringing us free deals. Yeah. And so that will just come down to stuff like the MLS or investor lift, talking to wholesalers, and that's all he'll do. I mean, if he's bringing us a couple of deals a month, then hey, it's perfect. It works out perfectly for us. Yeah.
How old are you?
24.
How do you, at 24, have the level of focus and clarity? And it might be a question you don't know because it's like, look, I'm just doing what I'm doing. But to be 24 and to be committed to this industry and committed to this vision, and I don't know how the dynamic. I see a lot of equality across the board. But being the youngest guy, you can technically have the least amount of experience, right? Just by years, statistically, right? How do you have that level of commitment? Because there's other things you could be doing.
I mean, I think it just comes all back to like when I first started. You know, like these guys, I remember I was working at Intel back in 2022, got my job right out of college. You know, I was working there for about a year and a half. Then, you know, I was commuting to Folsom from Tracy.
Right.
Now, Tracy to Folsom is like hour and a half, maybe 2 hours one way.
With a little bit of traffic.
With traffic, yeah. And then that started ramping up even more because I was hybrid at first, but now they want us to come back in full time. And then I was always saying these guys' office, and they just told me like, why are you still commuting? Like, you're not getting paid for any of this. Just come join our team.
You're saying schools for fools. Right?
Yeah.
We needed the help too. Yeah, we were pushing them for months, like kind of just like you know casually. Like,
and I got to touch upon that a little bit. So we went to Ohio, our mastermind, results driven. Great mastermind, by the way. We learned a lot. From
What is it called?
Results driven. It was Tiffany and Josh High.
They do the wholesaling.
Yeah.
that mastermind is the reason, honestly, why we are where we are.
And our business coach, Aaron Letty, I mean, we have weekly calls, bi-weekly, everything from marketing, operations, acquisitions, taught us everything. You know what I mean? So we took this guy with us to Ohio because they had a workshop, right, mastermind. And, you know, I'm slowly, you know, he's telling him slowly too, like, hey, you need to quit your job and do this and that. And then we're sitting at the airport after, and, you know, I started getting into him like, bro, you need to quit your job. And then Aman's like, you know, he's like, bro, like there's a process to this. He can't just quit. He needs to give his notice in and all that and all that. And I was like, nah, bro, he needs to go back and quit his job. Like it's done. Yeah, right here. It's like done over. Because our business coach was also pounding him too. Like, bro, you got to quit your job. They need a dispo role. You can be that. You guys are already brothers. You guys already click. And so I think we went back a couple of days later. You quit. Like he quit the job, and then he came into the office full time.
Yeah, a couple of days after, just like he said, I put him on 2 weeks. And I just knew I was like committed at that point. And I remember that same day that I, you know, left my job, drove straight back from Folsom, started working. Yeah. So there was no days off, no nothing like that.
So we went to that mastermind because we've been like several times before actually taking him for the first time. But me and him went into it with the intention that like we need to get this guy on our team, you know, like it's like recruiting, you know.
The meeting before the meeting. Okay.
Because we wanted him to see like what the potential is. Right. That way he could, you know, compare that to what he's getting at Intel right now.
Right.
Because the potential is so much greater with what we're doing. Right.
And you come from entrepreneurs, right? And so it's that natural progression. PJ, as you went first, I mean, you went second to that entrepreneurial space. That transition of jumping off the ledge into your first deal or into entrepreneurship, it has so many challenges because of the unknown, right? But once you see the wealth of it, that's why I push to people so many times, like get into real estate, because I've seen the promised land, I've seen the other side, right? And once you see the other side, it's like a no-brainer. But I have a prediction, right? And this is in all fairness, right? I got love for all of you guys. Here's the fortunate part about being the youngster, right? Is you get to extract from both. And honestly, I see both Aman and PJ in you. And so again, we were talking earlier about, we don't know where we'll be in 20, 30, 40 years. But when you get to come under just slightly older people, right? It's an equal playing field. I'm really curious to know how far you take this. I really am. Everybody, but for sure, and to be able to stand on the shoulders of your big brothers, right, cousins, brothers, right, and that's pretty cool. I want to sidestep because I think that what is important to understand is the individual components of us as people, right? Individuality is important. There's some cultural elements as well. You guys your parents were first generation. Where they come from?
They came from northern India, a state called Punjab. So they came from there. My father immigrated in the early 90s, 1981 too. And then their father, I believe, came in the early 90s, right? Yeah, early 90s. Right. So, you know, basic stuff, coming here, working 3-4 jobs, man, you know, dusting kitchens and bathrooms, janitor, all these jobs, and then slowly stacked up their money slowly. And they bought their first property together, and then they opened up a liquor store, family market. And then from there, they just kept pushing along, buying, you know, commercial properties, residential properties, and all that. So they really did the American dream. And because they worked together as brothers, they gave us a playing field and a role model that, hey, if they could do it, we could do it too. Yeah. You know, so for us, it's very natural. Like, the one thing I've noticed when we go to a lot of these masterminds or meetups, I think what people are more surprised by, I mean, the money and like the success we're having, bro, like, you know, if you put your mind to it, anybody can really do that. What people are really surprised by, oh, you guys are brothers, you guys work together? I can't even share $10 with my brother. You know what I mean? You know, like,
and there it is. So I guess I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Yeah. So, I mean, they'll be saying these things. It's happened to us a couple of times. So I pulled these guys, I'm like, bro, like, I think more than the success we're having in our businesses and everything, I think it's more so that we're working together as a unit. Yeah, that people are more surprised by.
That's a testament. That's a testament. I think of two things. There's a song, I think it's by Young Thug or Rich Gang. It's called Rags to Riches. Rags to Riches, right? And so shout out to your parents for making those sacrifices, for them to jump off the ledge and come to the United States and be able to navigate the cultural balances, the economic differences, and all the challenges. But then also, you guys said earlier, as kids, you lived in the same house. Yeah. You probably didn't know you was cousins. You probably thought you was all brothers, huh?
Yeah, it probably was. We lived in the same house. All of us. It was a small 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and it was his family, my family. I even got 2 older sisters and a younger brother. So you had like 8 to 10 people living in one house, not including cousins coming back and forth. So it was a lot. And then, you know, after that, we built a house and we moved into there, but we always lived in the same city and all that. Right. Only reason we had to move is because 10 people in a 3-bedroom house. How long are you going to do that?
Yeah, that delayed gratification, that sacrifice. How long was my brother peeing in the bed still?
He's lucky. When he was born, we were out of it. I think by that time we were out, so he had his own bedroom. Okay.
The youngest always has it the easiest, right?
We didn't even have a stroller. You had a stroller, man. They just hold us in the seat like your neck hurt and everything.
He was swinging in that thing too. Do donuts in there.
Right on. So, you know, you guys do a trifecta of many things. Shout out to you on I-5 going through Lathrop. I see your sign with your information as a real estate agent.
Yeah, so that property that our fam bought that back in the early 90s.
It was just a couple acres?
5 acres.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just been sitting as agriculture, have a few houses on there getting rent. But recently, we went to the city of Lathrop, spoke on the city council, and they changed the zoning from agricultural to light industrial. So now we're thinking...
allows you to do what?
Truck terminal, truck yard. They've also approved you can build a hotel there or even a gas station. So a lot of different things like that. So, being able to go from a farm property to that was huge for us.
Right.
So bought that back in 1992. Lathrop was incorporated in 1989. So, for all those years, it was just sitting there. And
how much, if you don't mind me asking, how much did you guys buy it for? Your parents bought it?
I think they bought it for I think it's around $200,000 or less.
$200,000. Yeah. And that dirt is worth significantly more.
Yeah. A lot more now.
Yeah. After the rezone.
Yeah, after the rezone and everything else, night and day difference, right?
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of that also came down to, man, just like I said, holding on to the property, just land banking it, to say the least, right? Collecting rent from it.
Right.
And over time, just working with the city. One thing we've kind of learned, development and all that stuff, is that it's not only up to you anymore. You got to work with the local politics. You got to work with the local government. You have to be going into the city councils or other things, going, doing fundraisers and stuff is huge. So that's the other side of our business, the whole development side of things.
Because you do, I want to make sure I get this right. You do flipping. You do wholesaling, and you do commercial development. Commercial development. What's the genesis of that? Is that back to your parents kind of setting the foundation for that and showing you what that looked like, and you guys growing into that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, On the commercial side, our parents have always kind of been in it. The flipping and wholesaling thing, we kind of derived that, from the real estate industry, right? Especially PJ is.
They probably think you're crazy with the wholesaling because honestly, when with what I'm understanding, how your parents understood, they understood the value of dirt, right? And they knew that homes. What happens in homes, right? Or commercial buildings, multifamily and homes, people live in them. So no different. Come on, Trey, give it to me.
I was confused what you're talking about. No, what's the similarity between single family homes and multifamily? Yeah. People live in them. That's about it.
That's about it. That's about it, right? And so they understood dirt, and I think that now we're in an era where it's high information, high tech, right? Much different, and access to resources like information, money, things of that nature, very different. So your parents understanding the value of dirt, which they probably even saw back home, right, before they came to the United States. How was the introduction of your creative strategy of wholesaling and flipping when you presented it to them?
So, the wholesaling and flipping side, our parents have been my dad's chilling. He's like 67, 68. He's just golfing all the time. Their dad also sold a gas station, is chilling too. They help us out sometimes here and there, but wholesaling and flipping, we predominantly manage the whole thing. Yeah. The commercial development more so is that we've bought these properties early on over time and they've been rezoned, and we could either sell them, but we're like, you know what, we're going to get the entitlements, build upon it, operate, and then maybe sell it in the future. Yeah. So that's more of a long play, to say for the least, right? Mm-hmm. Wholesaling and flipping, we needed something that gives you constant cash, because commercial development, bro, can take a couple years.
Okay, say that. Well, let's slow down. So what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that you have a real estate strategy, and that as much as it is nice to be able to get into commercial real estate and rezoning it, increase the value and the usage of it, that your business, looking at commercial business, you still have to bring in revenue every month and every year to run activities like your personal lifestyle, and day-to-day items. And that can't be done no matter how much the dirt is worth that you guys have. It doesn't have a current utility. Right? So wholesaling and flipping generates some cash for you guys now, and also probably that cash will allow you to do things like build upon the dirt, because just because you own the dirt, you still have to construct it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the things, is like one of our long-term goals for our company is, we want to take the money that we generate from our wholesaling and flipping and then put those into apartments out of state. Yeah. So that's our long-term goal.
Yeah, apartments or development business, both fuel that side of the business. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So multifamily, you guys are talking about multifamily. What are your thoughts on multifamily? Is that something that, I'm sure you guys talked about it. Most people that we run into are doing flips and hotel and wholesale, Airbnb, a lot of creative different instruments out there. Yeah. Do you see yourself as an individual or with the company getting into multifamily?
Yeah, I definitely see it. At the end of the day, there's of course like the projects we're working on and whatnot. But I think the huge part of that is also just just kind of going back to the wholesaling side of it. I've personally, at least, I'm the newest one here, so I'm still gaining a lot of experience from these guys and what they're going through.
Oh, you're gonna smoke them. I promise you. No,
you're gonna pass us.
Wait for us to leave the room first.
It just happens, brother. It happens when those nuggets fall off, and you continue to grow into it and go through life and have some losses, you have some wins, get married. It just continues to lock in. And you locked in earlier. Plus, you've had this support, which is great. And so we got to keep eating dirt. But I just, my gut tells me this, brother, that because of the dynamic, everybody will win. But you're in a very, very good spot. Right on, but forgive me, I didn't mean to cut you short.
Yeah, so multifamily is, I feel like, it's more of the long-term play, for all of us, especially. We've always talked about it, right? Whether it's buying 150 plus unit apartment buildings out of state, that's a huge goal that we have for ourselves, set out for ourselves right now. But outside of that, I think as of right now is, for me at least, just gaining the experience of real estate itself, and also just capitalizing and maximizing my potential on the wholesaling side, because I know these guys are really solid at what they do in terms of commercial flipping and wholesaling, but I still have a long way to go in terms of before I can say I'm really good at this. I can just give it to somebody else, and I can delegate my time to something else. Right. I don't want to do that just yet until I've actually can confidently say, somebody asked me a question about it, I come on a podcast like this, I can confidently answer it.
There you go. Remain humble, but remain present.
Yeah.
And remain tenacious.
Yeah.
Remain. I'm telling you. Listen, I'm picking you. Okay. I'm sitting in front. No, just keep grinding. Keep grinding, because a lot of times and one thing I also say is just in your journey where you're at, the best thing that you can ever be open to is correction.
Yeah.
Right. And you happen to be obviously in a room that's safe, but also amongst two brothers that are safe as well. The correction is where you're going to get the biggest gain, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to really propel you and make you uncomfortable and do things that you didn't want to do, that don't come natural. But with correction, that's your key right there.
Yeah.
That's your key. And so I usually don't use the term jealous, but I'm a little jealous. I'm a little jealous. Trey, what you got for us?
Dude, you got to not put me on the spot like that. What the hell? What you got for us? Jeez. All right, let's.
This is gonna turn.
He goes like this. He's like this. Trey, what you got for us? He's like freaking pulling it out quick. All right. Let's bring it back to the wholesaling thing, because one thing that you guys mentioned was you are on average profiting about $30K a deal, right? That's super impressive. I think a lot of people, like I talk to people that are flipping, and a lot of them seem to even get past in the flipping business, 25K profit on a flip. And they have to put a lot more capital expenditure into that than you guys do with wholesaling, because you guys are selling the contracts. What's the key for you guys to find those optimized, profitable deals when you guys are wholesaling? And hopefully somebody can do it when they're flipping too. But what's the step-by-step?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that takes time, right? Like when we first started getting our wholesale deals, I mean, I'll give you a perfect example. Our very first wholesale deal, it was in Union City. We had no buyers, and if you ask me now, like we should have made like 100 to 150K assignment fee on that. But we had no buyers at the time. Yeah. But the deal fell on our lap, and we were like, yeah, we got to get this thing moved. So, PJ went on Facebook, and it was just me and him at the time. He found a buyer on Facebook, or was it personal connection?
Personal connection.
Oh, it's a personal connection. Yeah, even worse. But, so it was a personal connection, and they told us the price they're willing to offer, and it ended up being a 10K assignment.
Yeah, 10K assignment.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that the house was worth 1.65. We had it. The person was willing to sell it for, I think, around $1,075,000, right? And he did a 70K rehab. Clean house, right? On paper, we should have made close to six figures, but personal connection, they wanted a 10-day close, so I couldn't even really put it under contract and find someone like that. So we had to put it directly in the buyer's name. He's like, "Oh, I'll give you, I'll give you 180, right?" And I pushed it up a little. We got 10K out of it. We were happy off that. But now that we look back, we had the right systems and processes, and this guy in play as well at that time probably would have gone in a lot more.
Because at that time, we were just getting started. So we went to the mastermind, we got into the mastermind, we came back, we started setting up our systems, right? So we're still like in the ramp up period, right? And this deal falls in our lap, the first month in.
How did you guys find that deal? Where'd that come from?
That was through PPL, I think.
PPL,
right?
Paper Lead.
Yeah,
like need to sell your house fast, these type of websites. Yeah. So it was through there. Someone filled out a web form, they gave it to us, and then, we called the lead, and I still remember, it was inherited property. She lived all the way in Escalon, properties in Union City, driving back and forth for 10K. But hey, it was one of our first deals that we did on the wholesale.
Are those like, if you don't mind, Paper League could be about $500 a click?
Yeah,
it depends. Yeah, it depends on the time of the month too. Because usually towards the end of the month, like people's budget will run out. So when we were doing it at the time, we'd usually
double down.
Towards the end of the month.
Easily one of the most expensive forms of marketing.
Easily.
Yeah. So why'd you guys decide to go with PPL instead of something different?
So when we first were in that ramp up period, we didn't have that much capital, right?
Okay.
If we were to hire out like a PPC agency, we would have had to pay, the monthly agency fee plus all the ad spend, which would have been minimum out here, 5 to 10K, which we didn't really have, right? So the beauty of PPL is, you just pay for the individual lead, right? You're not spending money on the general ad spend, right?
Yeah.
So that was like our first kind of dip into that. But
Softer approach.
yeah,
And
softer
you kinda
approach.
see it with a soft landing.
Kind of ease into it because
Yeah.
we didn't have as much
Yeah,
capital
yeah.
at the point.
But you got to make sure you're ready to close when you get on
Yeah,
the phone,
exactly.
right?
Yeah, and now, I mean, for us, like we don't do PPL anymore. We don't like it. But at that time, I was doing dispo, I was doing marketing, I was doing operations too. So it was just like
Yeah.
too much, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I was pushing this guy, or we were pushing this guy to come and join our team because I couldn't handle it all. It was just too much.
Like, I need to sleep, man. I can't sleep.
Look, I got to jump in. You guys are gonna always have to give me grace for my guy, okay? He's been my guy since day one, right? And so, but I love y'all too. When we go back, because this is something I'm working on. When we go back to correction, and it's just funny. I wish I had got it. If I had you're 10 years younger than me. If I was where you're at right now, and I had big brothers that were doing these type of activities, when I go back to correction, they will never not have an end buyer. They will never. You guys will never. But walking from that last deal, right, the $1 million deal, the 10,000, you can't miss something you never had. Yeah. But understanding that story, I saw the conviction. I didn't see that you guys are blaming each other. You both are very, very familiar with the pain of what was left on the table. Mm-hmm. Now, it's not so much that it was money. It's, hey, we weren't prepared.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And nobody was there to tell us. Nobody was there to tell you guys to start working on your database, to start working on your dispo, to start working on connecting with other people. You could have naturally probably thought it was a thing, but when it fell in your lap, or have the relationship with hard money lenders to take down the deal yourself. Only 70,000. We'll take it down. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's something that will never ever happen. But that's the correction, right? So sometimes it can happen. You can learn one of three ways. You can learn from watching others. Yeah. You can learn by doing, and then like my grandma says, you can never learn, right? And you can pick whatever one. I'm always very cautious when I hear somebody say, "Well, you know what, Jacob? I'm not taking your advice. I'm one of those type of people where I have to learn myself." Yeah. Whoa! Yeah, like it just doesn't sit right with me, right?
You gotta look at
learn from somebody else's mistake. They already made the mistake.
Yeah,
your teachability index needs to be high. So one thing,
we don't know what that means.
Yeah,
no, you're just throwing words.
No. That I actually learned. I take that to heart as this guy I've been following. But yeah, your teachability index and sticking to the fundamentals is very, very important. Right. Because even for our sales guy, man, it's like lately, I'm gonna be honest with you, our offers per dealer are going up high. More on my on my end. Good. Yeah, which is not a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing.
Yeah, that means we got to give out more offers to get a deal. No, you're fine. You're fine.
You just heard money and you're like, all right, good.
So then I start looking at myself. You have the book out there, Trey, Extreme Ownership, right? That's one of our core values, extreme ownership. Whenever the business is going down or suffering, before you blame someone else, you got to blame yourself as a leader.
Let me get one.
So let me get one. I need that. So, and the thing about that is that, sometimes like, why am I going to blame myself? He clearly didn't do this. It's his fault. But the thing is, as a leader, we have to blame ourselves first, because then you start looking at something wrong with the system, something wrong with the processes, something wrong that I'm doing when I'm driving the culture. So when I was looking into it, I was like, you know what? I haven't been doing my call audits with them every single week. I've been missing some. So if I'm not doing my call audits with them, what's happening? He's stacking his mistakes up. So when I started doing the call audits, the recordings, going through the checklist, I'm like, hey, look, hey, Aaron, on the motivation, we got to dive a bit more deeper. Hey, Aaron, when we're asking about influencers, we got to double confirm. So when I'm doing these things with them, he better understands that, okay, next time I give a call to this lead, I need to check these points. So I think that's a very humbling thing, is that, every time I speak to my guys, I always, we've trained ourselves, we blame ourselves first. Because you got to see, like, what am I doing wrong here to better assist the situation?
As leaders, we have to do that. That's the only way.
And then your guys too, man, they also respect, there's more of a respect level between both of you guys too, because they're like, a boss at the end just throw orders out, right? A leader's going to lead from the front. He's going to tell the person that.
And we're really big on that.
Man, don't take off real quick. Ejectocito.
When I grew up in church, and sometimes in church I grew up in, the pastor will be spitting out these sermons,
Amen.
right? Yeah, amen. There you go. And sometimes you feel like he's talking to you.
Yeah, he's
I know.
He's like, somebody in here right now needs to forgive and practice forgiveness. I'm like, who, me? Right? And so everything that you're saying right now, and I'm sure Trey's feeling the vibration about the ownership, right? Because me and Trey spend a lot of time together, if it's not in person, on the phone. And that's one thing I know we can agree on, and is you have to have ownership. And no matter what concept we talk about, somehow he slides in the ownership. I don't know. We're talking about what's for lunch. He's like, "Did you own it?" I'm like, "All right, ownership," and having that level of extreme ownership. And you have, and I'll say this. How old are you?
22.
22.
Took a minute.
Yeah, I thought you were.
Because he didn't know I was coming back his way, and I look at, again, even age is nothing but a number, right? Yeah. But when you look at the ability, once again, to be in this season of business, of social media, that's how we connected. We connected through social media.
Yeah, one post.
One post. You when your parents first came to the United States, there wasn't connecting outside of your cultural community.
Yep.
Your dad and your dad, that's all they had.
Outside of the face-to-face.
That's all they had. You right, and then you meet some people down the road, but there was nobody else that was going to sign on a loan. There was nobody else that was going to educate them and tell them to buy land. There was nobody going to show them how to navigate the American economy, which is significantly different from other cultures, right? So what they were able to do, which is a round of applause for your parents and your family, right? We should be able to smoke that by eons. 100%. Because we have the advancements of so many different resources. But when I think about even you and Trey, and we're not little broing you because we're all in the same category. Why would I not bet on you? The same way I bet on Trey is because, we're doing what we can do, right? But you guys are even in a different chapter. By being younger, you're having a different start at a different time with different resources. That's why I know
Foundation.
Trey's going to smoke me. You're going to smoke the two of our brothers right here. That's how it's supposed to go. But if we get 15 years down the road and we haven't scratched the surface of what your parents have been able to accomplish, we should be ashamed, three of us.
100%. Yeah. And that's one thing that I always tell these guys is we have it so easy, man. We didn't have to come from a different country and start from scratch, we were born into, blessed to be born into this family of entrepreneurship, and we just saw, it happen, right? And so we have that foundation, and so why not capitalize on it? I think it's the biggest disservice if you don't take advantage of that, because that's what your parents want for you anyways, right? Yeah. So,
because our dads, man, coming from India, coming here, worked insanely. They used to sleep in the car sometimes. Was working 3 jobs back to back to back. Because as an immigrant, you're working $2-3 an hour back then, and you're making all this money, you're sending it back to India. You're making all this money, and then you're keeping a little bit for yourself. You're sending the rest back to India because why? You want your family to come here. Our dads came here by themselves. Their wives are still, back in India, and they're working so hard, sending money back to bring them over here. It's just the extreme sacrifice, thinking about themselves last is what, we learn is and I always tell these guys too, I said at the end of the day, if everything went to the ground today, at least we know that all 3 of us can go back to a room, hop on the phones, we'll build it right back in a year, So,
and that's the biggest thing too is even if everything, fell apart or whether we have disagreements, we can never ever let it affect our relationship, but that comes first always.
Right. How do you manage the differences of opinions and creativity when the big decisions are on the line? Is there a rule? Is there a KPI? Not a KPI. Is there SO? Is there SO? Is there SO? Yeah. Statistically, little brother's always right. Yeah, for sure.
I think the big, and I'll speak for myself, is I can sometimes get one of our core values is respect, right? It's like we got to respect one another. We'll have disagreements. Like, hey, like I'll be sometimes get a little bit upset. I'm like, we got to do this way right now. Why are we not doing this? And then sometimes I'll be told that, hey, we got to slow down here, man. We can't be doing this way. Or sometimes they'll agree with me like, hey, yeah, we got to take this action now. It's very urgent, right? I think it's just gone to the point, Jake, we grew up as little kids, in sandboxes. We played together everywhere. So it's like,
we don't take things personal.
It's like to that point, man, where it's like, we'll sometimes butt heads, but eventually, like, we just have that common understanding, like, okay, well, this is the right way to go. This is the right way to go. It's just one of those things we figured out. It's like, I don't have it down to a science, but over time, man, we've just kind of told ourselves that, hey, like, this business is bigger than us right now, and we got to put our egos aside and we got to push forward.
Yeah. Man, I'm telling you, I hope. I mean, you guys, you run a meetup once a month.
Once a month, yeah.
I just always try to show up. But is it a specific Thursday of every month or
third Thursday of every month right now?
Thursday.
And the meetup too, man, was started out on a whim, but now we've also grown the community. I think we have somewhere around 600 to 700 members now, and it's been going pretty well for us in the sense that we'll just go out there, provide value, meet a bunch of people, have Chick-fil-A catered.
I was just about to say that.
That's like Jake came. Jake only came for the Chick-fil-A.
I knew you guys was going to have Chick-fil-A when I got there. You had so much Chick-fil-A. Right? They were like, does anybody want to take this home? I just started putting it on. Right. No, I'm kidding. But you guys have so much Chick-fil-A, but great value. You guys are bringing a whole lot of great value. Let me pop back over to a wholesale side of it. Did you, and correct me if I'm wrong, you guys sold some raw land recently, didn't you? Or one of your deals? I swear when you told me you did some raw land or you sold some land out of state, no? Might be getting it wrong. Made some money off it.
So we've acquired.
Right. Yeah. Okay. It was I think you and I talked. Was it a multifamily?
Oh yeah, this was airport. I was talking about airport.
Oh yeah, that's our commercial project that we have going on.
That's a multifamily piece, right?
No, we're building a shopping plaza there. Yeah, we're getting entitlements right now in Manteca. So there's gonna be a gas station on the corner, a car wash, major grocery anchor, and a bunch of QSRs and like a couple of mom and pop users. Yeah.
That's the data coming in right now. How did you acquire the property and how do you underwrite something like that?
Yeah, so I was the first one to come across that property because I like trying to find commercial properties, and every single day I would just be online, like calling people, like, hey, I'm looking for like a hot corner. We got some money coming in, and we're trying to acquire something that we can build something on. And it's just one of those things where it takes time, especially like hot corners, like commercial pieces are very hard to come by.
How many acres was it, by the way?
It's 19 acres. Yeah, 19 acres. So I saw it. Yeah, I found it, right? And then someone beat me to it, right? Someone beat me to it. They went into contract, and then...
you find this on LoopNet or just cold?
Just word of mouth.
It was like kind of on market, off market,
yeah,
right? It was a weird situation.
At first I think I reached out to the agent, and he mentioned it, and then I saw the sign on the property because I always drive by, and then I'm just like constantly calling the guy, and he said, oh, it's already under contract. So I was like, crap. And what happened was, I don't know, like 6 months go by, and then all of a sudden I see the sign up on the property, and so I called this guy. He was like, yeah, I just put the sign up today. I was like, all right, let's talk. So over like the next couple of days, we worked out numbers, and we went under contract. We bought the property, I think like maybe like 4 months later, and now we're doing.
Can I ask what that process looks like when or you start with a LOI on a commercial piece like this?
LOI, yeah. You start with the LOI. You put out all your terms. It's non-binding. Just kind of shows your interest in the property. And the seller reviews it. Usually, attorneys were involved in this one, but just because it's such a large piece of land. But everyone came to term. We put it into a formal purchase agreement, and we had a due diligence period because we wanted to verify with the city because we already knew it was a hot corner, but
that you can build and you can't.
That we can build, like, I mean, we come from a background of gas stations, right, and liquor stores. So for us, like a hot corner like that, like you know damn well we're gonna build a gas station on that.
Said hot corner. The
Yeah.
block is hot. The block is hot. Okay.
Yeah, so and there's it's gonna be a huge shopping plaza, so there's gonna be a lot of traffic at full build out. I mean, something that big, man, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah. So what's the time frame? You think it's gonna take 3, 4, 5 years to build?
Probably. We're gonna do it in phases though. So the first phase is gonna be the gas station and car wash, which we're gonna develop and operate.
And you guys are gonna own that?
Yes.
Okay. And for sure.
Yeah, so we'll own that, and then our goal is to, probably bring in a partner to JV on the rest of the piece. So, which is, I don't know, like 15 or 16 acres.
And so when you say another partner, we're talking about a capital partner?
Yeah, like a capital partner who can help us, kind of fund the deal. Because that big of a project, man, you're talking, 50 million plus.
Yeah. And I think market condition, economic condition are both important. You already got the condition of the property and the location, so that's cool too. But these things, these commercial pieces, they can take time because there's so much that they have to go into it. We go back into data. You look at wherever they put a Starbucks or a Dutch Bros. It's not by happenstance. It's not by accident, right? There's a lot of data.
That's another thing we're working on too, is just reaching out to these tenants. Like Starbucks, you got like McDonald's.
What number do you call?
So we use CoStar. You know CoStar? CoStar is like it's a commercial data company. So it's expensive. It's like $12,000-$13,000 a year, but it gives you all the data on all commercial properties, all the tenants. So you can directly reach out to like the decision maker for Starbucks, right? Reach out to them like, hey, I got this property coming up. What would you pay for rent? Do you ground lease or do you build to suite? Right? You start having conversation with these like big companies, and they'll for example say like, hey, we'll do a 20-year lease and we'll pay you $15,000 a month, but we want you to build out the structure and then we'll rent it out. Right. So things of that nature.
Right.
So.
Right.
The thing of having dirt is great. We have in the 19-acre project they're working on. We're working on another 4-acre project in Lathrop. We have one in Escalon. And like you were saying, all these things do take time. Yeah. So it's very important you have another machine that's paying for this.
Income generating machine. Because these are all nice ideas and they're nice business structures, because this is really a business that's being ran. But because they take so much time and they're very cash intensive, this is only one leg of the race. And so you're wearing multiple hats. You can grow in real estate and make a lot of money in real estate, but you really have to diversify yourself, educate yourself. And we talked earlier about connecting with the right minds and right talents, and bring on the right partners. How do you establish trust with the right partners?
I think just right now our partners are family right now. We trust each other blindly, right? Share bank accounts and everything. When it comes to other capital partners, like we have some private money lenders who help us in deals and everything else. It's just more so asking them what their vision is. What do they see, right? It's like, when you're going to share money and everything else and deals with people, you got to really, really trust the person. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you can't trust them, you can't really do business with them.
Especially nowadays, man. I mean, it's hard to find genuine people, like when we find people like you guys, we're like, damn, it's like a what's the word? Like a needle in a haystack,
Thank you.
Yeah. So
When you find good people, I feel like you gotta stick with them.
Yeah, exactly. Keep them close, Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, I'll say it again. You guys are some of the most humble people I know. But I dive right back into the cultural component of it. Your parents and family really had to have the concept of sticking together because it's all you had. And so to see it be able to be passed on to another generation, you see a lot of times, unfortunately, the things of the past get lost. Like I see some people that come to the United States, they won't teach. I have friends that their parents didn't teach them Spanish because they didn't want to have their kids to have a hard time when they got to school or things of that nature. And it loses a lot, right? For whatever reason, you have to lose. You feel like you got to lose something to gain something in the United States, and everything comes at a cost. Yeah, you guys definitely have stuck to your values, and I think that's the foundation to all of your successes. You can be the king of data, right? You can have the confidence of a bull, right? And listen, be all things considered, right? For sure, right? Player from the Himalaya, right? The golden child, right? He got a stroller, right? You can be all those things, but a lot of times I think that when I do connect with people, I think that because of their values.
Yeah, of course.
Of their values.
That's how you connect, right?
For sure. I always tell people, like, if we don't get cool enough to where I can come to your parents' house, it probably won't last long.
Yeah.
Because, like, a lot of my friends, I'm going to eat at their mom's house and dad's house without them. All right. No, Jay, you can't come over. I just talk. You better hang up. Don't come over for Christmas either. Because I know when I meet individuals, they're but a branch from what they came from, and then you end up meeting friends and families of theirs, and birds of a feather flock together oftentimes, and that's just a reinforcement for who they are, and so I just find that special.
Yeah. I mean, Jake, you always say business and personal. A lot of people say, oh, don't mix it together, bro. But it always gets mixed. You know what I mean? It always gets a little bit mixed in the sense where, like, if someone you're going to have as a partner, if you can't vibe with them on the personal side, it makes things very difficult.
Makes it very difficult.
Yeah. But if I can't go hoop with you, you know what I mean? If I can't go out for a drink with you, probably not going to really work out.
Probably not going to really work. And that's where the creative energies really come to place. And that's where trust is established.
Yeah.
And you get to ride similar vibration. Like I said, you guys all have similar person, but then you're all very similar. And then you have your individual traits, and that's cool. That's really cool, and that's the power, man.
Yeah.
I think one thing for me too, like we all learn from each other, right? Like he said, like he's more of like let's do it right now kind of guy, right? And I never was that guy, but like over time, like as a leader too, like I want to be able to adapt to situations and be able to grow, in the sexy word scale, right?
There you go.
But sometimes it really takes just action of like getting it done. So I really learned over the past like year especially kind of just to let go and just see how things play out. So I've gotten a lot better at that, but before I was like, bro, like you gotta relax. But then I'm like, all right, like if you think long term, we're trying to achieve so much more than what we've achieved now, right? And the only way to do that is by taking action.
Yeah, massive. Trey said, oh, listen, Trey's favorite one, massive action. I'm like, I'm sleep, man. I'm sleep. You can take action in your sleep.
It's interesting because I analyze a lot of the people that have made a lot of change in the world, especially as of late. Like I'm reading Elon Musk's biography for the second time right now. I've analyzed Steve Jobs a lot, and the number one thing amongst these guys from a personality characteristic standpoint is their ability to take action, their ability just to take brutal, fast action. And one thing that Jake and I probably butt heads too much on is I take action very quickly and I'm okay with taking the repercussions of it. But Jake has a good sense of the social dynamic of things. And when you push something out too fast, the repercussions that can come with that aren't always good. But there's that balance that needs to be had because innovation doesn't come with 100% guarantee. You have to be willing to push it out there and take the feedback and improve with the feedback. But if you never push it out in the first place, then you never know what you can improve on because you're only limited to your experiences, your perspective, and your usability of the thing that you're doing. So I think that's why it's so important to take this massive action because you have to get the feedback to figure out how to improve and to figure out how to keep moving forward.
He says that right. And that's the cool thing about working with people that are very similar, and then also have it's not even different philosophies. It's just, hey, I want to try this or I want to try that, because Trey has showed me the value of moving fast. I think it could be for a fault or for better. Your parents would be very likely a little more conservative right now. Like, Mom, let's go throw all the money at this. No. It has to make sense, and even then, when the older you get, the more you'll say, like, I'll pass on it, right? And so I think that back to you guys' bracket, move fast, right? I do struggle with that because the older I get, and I've made many mistakes, right?
I think just being aggressively patient is important, right?
You come on.
No.
50-50.
No, aggressively patient is like, in the how it is, like in the macro you're patient, but in the micro you're urgent, right? In the day to day, in the macro you're patient, but in the micro you're urgent, right? The day to day, the week by week, even month, you're kind of let's push. But that 10-year goal, you're like, hey, you gotta be willing to do something for a decade. I got to be willing to tell myself that I'm going to do this for a decade,
Right.
like build up my team, build up
Right.
my culture,
Right.
develop these properties. Then we can try to go do something else, become a private money lender and
Right.
golf wherever you want
Right,
to golf
right.
and go
Yeah,
wherever.
yourself.
Yeah.
Also,
So-
guys, I gotta head out of here in a couple minutes here, so I want to answer because I know we got people live watching this. Anything related to like marketing and operation? I know we kind of went off on a tangent here, but is there anything I can answer kind of before I head out?
Yeah, I mean, I think that coming back to that one question, I want to dig a little bit deeper into it with the profitable real estate investments, right? Because having 30K on a wholesale, you guys, there's more meat on the bone because you guys are wholesaling it to a flipper, right? So that means that the actual profit on that deal is larger than just the 30K. That's just what you guys are making. So when it comes to identifying those deals, what are a couple of your processes for identifying very, very profitable deals? Is it just from like a volume perspective, whereas you guys are just sending out a ton, so obviously you're going to have something come back? Do you guys have some of those like specific criteria that you're looking for? You mentioned how you know that you don't look for one bed, one bath, I think. So can you just dig a little bit deeper into that?
Yeah, I'll dig into it like on the marketing side, but I know there's an acquisition side to it, which you can touch on after. But on the marketing side, well, I guess there's 3 components to it. But for example, Dispo, their job is to get the end buyer at the highest price possible, because that's how we make our spread, right? And the acquisition's job is to get it on the lowest side, right? But in terms of marketing, it's really about finding niche markets, or not niche markets, but like niche distressors, right? We don't market to like the bulk lists anymore of like 30, 60,000 records. Like we only target people who are going through distress situations, like bankruptcy, divorce, child support judgments, foreclosures is huge. We've done a lot of foreclosure deals. Probate, we have a probate attorney, and that's one of the value adds that we give or provide to our sellers, is we'll help them go through the probate process on our dime. So that's a huge value add, because they're, when someone passes away in the family, like most people, they don't know what the hell to do with the property. They're like, they're stressing out. They're just trying to, get rid of the situation. So we come in and we help kind of bridge that gap, right?
And when you guys are pushing out your marketing message, how are you guys refining that process? Like, are you guys running the PPC ads? Is this through direct mail? How are you guys targeting that niche in your marketing messaging?
Yeah, so right now, all we're doing is direct mail. We've doubled down on it. We were doing PPC before. We did it for, I think, about 4 to 6 months. I don't remember exactly, but we were getting about 2 deals a month the first 3 months. And then we started seeing a decline in the results. Our cost per deal was going up to, I don't know, like $8,000-9,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So because of that, we reallocated that. I think it was like 10 to 12K budget on PPC. We reallocated that to direct mail. So in a sense, like doubled down on direct mail, because direct mail was working great for us, and it still is.
Okay.
Right. So right now, I think we spend on average, about 30 grand a month on direct mail.
And how many deals are usually coming from that? You said you guys are doing about 6 to 8 deals a month, right?
6 to 8. Yeah. And like in terms of like bringing your deal size up, I know you mentioned, there's some people that are only making like 19 or 20 or 25K per deal, right? Mm-hmm. But we were too at a certain point, right? When we first started, and what kind of brought that up was building out our dispo department, because we needed more buyers who, are in different markets, because ultimately those people who like buy, like let's say Sacramento only, right? They know what they want, right? But if you only have like 2 or 3 buyers in each market, it doesn't really help you drive up your price. Even it helps in negotiations too. Like, hey, I have a guy.
It's a supply demand issue, right? The more demand that you have with the less supply, the more money you're going to make.
Exactly.
And from a market research perspective as well, when the more people you have in a market, because real estate it can be very seasonal, it have its pockets, and it could differentiate just based off a week, right? Rates are up, buyers are motivated, and so by you having multiple buyers in a market, that type of data goes back to value. You'll know what other people are doing as far as purchasing. And what they're purchasing at, and what this neighborhood does and how it performs. And so I think that data is invaluable.
Yeah, data is huge, absolutely.
Yeah, and even with buyers too, it's just like, and he can touch upon this, but like having your VIP buyers and building that urgency, like, hey, I got this deal here. I'm about to blast this out to the world tomorrow, but before I do that, I'm gonna call you and a select few other people. Where would you have to be at for this? You know, building that urgency with them, with the buyers. And I can't tell you over time now, like how many buyers are buying sight unseen now from us. They trust our deals, they trust our process. The last, I think, 3-4 deals, correct me if I'm wrong, were sight unseen. Right?
Yeah, I think probably even more at this point. I mean, a lot of our deals have been getting signed to like pretty, I would say, like high profile buyers. You know, the ones that, you know, can sometimes buy higher, some of them might buy lower, whatever it is. But I think a lot of that also goes back into just not getting too comfortable either. Because, I mean, me and you were talking about it a couple of days ago. I mean, it's great. We were getting these deals signed like 1-2 days max. When before it would take us almost like 2 weeks. But we were talking about it. We were like, it's great, but we don't want to be in kind of position where, like, let's say one of our best buyers drops out of the market, or one of the other buyers switches to a different market. Then it's like, well, what are we going to do? So we continually vet and call for buyers just about every single day. We never ever like stop looking for buyers.
Like, I could be a buyer today and tomorrow, you know, I'm going to go somewhere else.
Yeah. Buyers run out of money. They get conservative. So it does always change. But I think I want to see your messaging is very, very crisp. And I'm not sure it's because I know you guys personally or not, but I only know you guys to be honest.
Before we go too deep, I know your ride's here, so you should probably bounce. Caitlin, send me a text.
I got a flight to catch.
You're all good, man.
All right, brother. Yeah, appreciate you, man. Safe travels. I got to do it again. All right, see you guys later, man. All right, guys.
You can just take the mic off and put it right down here if you'd like.
Us, I mean, what gets me up, I always tell you guys, have an abundant mindset and have a positive mindset. Not a cliche term. Abundant mindset is like, if this deal doesn't work out, there's 1,000 other deals out there. And if you've been to our office setup, Trey, you'll see all of our desks are literally together. There's no private offices. We do have private offices for like conferences and stuff. The reason why we did that is like, we want to be in the trenches with our team. So when a deal falls apart with me, I'll look right, he's there, we'll laugh about it, we'll look at what we did wrong, and we keep going. Yeah. And like, I think the biggest thing is working as brothers, just having that camaraderie, is that like, everything will be falling apart, but I got you left of me, I got you right of me, we're going to figure this out. And I think also as well, having our KPIs like we were talking about before, looking at our metrics makes us more confident too. Like, hey, look, man, we got to be sending this much more mail to hit our goal. So we have our level 10 meetings every week religiously. Level 10 is where he'll tell me what I'm doing wrong. I'll tell him what he's doing wrong, what he needs to fix upon. And we'll look at all our closed deals and what we have to do for the next week to hit our goal. Gotcha. So having those level 10 meetings has been huge for us.
Sounds like it's creating an environment of success, an environment where if one thing goes wrong, it doesn't destroy your guys' confidence. It doesn't destroy the momentum that you guys have building, because you guys can look over and feel that level of confidence. And you guys have the metrics. So you know, hey, one deal fell apart. How much more marketing do we got to push out to get the next one? That's really impressive. What about for you?
I think it's more so just being able to like learn off of the mistakes, kind of like what you're saying, right? Like a lot of it comes down to like, I'm pretty, I would say, like brand new into the whole space as in general for real estate. And I still like screw up on things, right? Like I'm not gonna, but my whole mindset is like, even with my guys that I directly work with, I won't sit here and be like, we won't point fingers, this and that. It's more so of like, hey, take extreme ownership. Where did we screw up on? You know? And it's all a collective effort when it comes into all these things. And I think it's more so just like being able to maximize on these opportunities. Yeah. Right? Like right now, it's like the disposition side, at least, I feel like really confident in it. So now I'm more so just trying to spend time on like really, really getting like our like VA and like my relationship manager like really solid in their roles. And also I'm having them dabble into my role a little bit in case for whatever reason, hey, I'm sick or I'm out on a trip, whatever it is. I can trust them, and I can trust them with 100% confidence that they can take over my role for the time being. What's
the key to delegation for you right now? What are a few things that you're implementing to be able to delegate effectively and make sure that they can take over your role if something like that does happen?
SOPs, man. I mean, I think like we probably use the term SOPs probably like 10 different times in the office every single day. And I think, for that, it's more so just like, of course, it's learning, like we were talking about earlier, just learning the whole aspect of whatever it is I'm trying to train my guys on. Yeah. You know, if it's for example, if I need to train my guy on how to talk to buyers, well, I'm going to show them examples of how I do it. And then I'm going to give them a script for it. And then I'm going to lay out what the outline generally looks like, because especially when you talk to buyers, I feel you can't go by off the script so much, especially if like the guys I've been talking to for like almost a year at this point. If I'm thinking they're talking about the script, then it's like,
well, then it's the relationship element, right? It's person to person. It's not
Yeah.
based on reading off the script.
yeah, exactly. So that's like great when you're talking to new buyers, kind of having a script in a sense. But I even more so like to call it just like an outline. But I think SOPs is just a huge thing for us right now.
Yeah.
You know, really just making those SOPs, capitalizing on that, and just making sure like, hey, if somebody screws up, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. I mean, you haven't been in the business.
Too, so yeah.
Well, let's actually dig into that, because you haven't been in the business for super long. How long have you been in it for?
This upcoming October is about to be my first full year.
Okay, so
like
almost a year.
10 months, yeah.
There you go. So in this first 12 months or 10 months, what has been your biggest failure or the biggest setback so far?
I would say, I don't know if I could pinpoint an exact example, but I would have to say just more so of like a collection of things, more so of just not maximizing like on a deal, for example. Sometimes like we'll listen to a call audits, right? Like we'll audit each other's calls, whatever it is. But there might be a time where it's like PJ's like I'm like, oh, hey, we got a buyer for a deal. You know, they're like 10K below where our ask price is. Like we're not that far off. But then PJ's like, why can't we get them up more? You know, so it's like just being able to maximize those opportunities. So I say, yeah, it really just comes down to being able to maximize those opportunities for me personally.
Got you. So it's not particularly a failure. It's just missed opportunity.
Yeah, missed opportunity, as I say, right? So just trying to capitalize off those.
Gotcha. Well, PJ, you've been in business for a little bit longer, obviously. What's been your biggest failure so far since you've started this thing?
Running too fast sometimes, right? Last year, man, we bought a deal in Manteca, right? And it was a 1920 built home, a house in the front, house in the back. I mean, this thing looked like it went through the Revolutionary War, right? I don't know how it was still standing. And we bought the deal from this off market, this gentleman who had a bunch of properties. And he's like, yeah, I'll sell it for $320. And I'm like, oh, fuck, let's go, man. There's the house in the front, house in the back. It's just easily worth $500K. And we didn't check with the city. We didn't check for the zoning, what it was, and we just bought it. Go in there, man, it needs a ton of work, right? We walked it once, the main house, but not the back house. Needed a ton of work. Later on, found out, too, the zoning's neighborhood commercial. So if someone wants to buy this as a home to live in, the loan's going to be tough to get approved upon. So we ended up finding a buyer. We actually seller financed it to him because we gave him a break because we wanted him to use his funds to fix up the property. Ended up walking away from it. Actually made about like I think $7K profit on it. Didn't lose on it. Really lucky on that. $7K. Okay. $7,000. Yeah, broke even. So I just learned from that, man, is just like, don't run too fast. Do your due diligence. I'm not saying have analysis by paralysis. Sit there all day analyzing it. But check out those main boxes. Yeah. So that's what I've learned over past, and that could have cost us a lot of money, man. That one deal, if it went south, could have cost us 6 figures or more, right? It would have really hurt our business. Mm-hmm. But that's what I learned over time from Mon, who just left, is that hey, it's fine to move fast, but check at least your main boxes out. Like check with the city. Check what zoning it is. Maybe have a contractor walk it before. And I just saw the price point in the low 300s. I'm like, oh, this is worth $500K. Let's just buy it. I should have done a little bit more due diligence. Let me
come back at you. This is how you grow in real estate. Mm-hmm. You really don't grow in the times of abundance and progress. Those seem to be stable, right? Mm-hmm. But you grow in these times where you face things that you did not know, mm-hmm. and face things that make you uncomfortable, and that makes you change from the things you've done previously. Yeah. And I think that again, we all learn differently, right? Know how you learn to play to your strengths, and then work on or hire to your weaknesses. Yeah. And the natural business and trade skill set is just natural for you. Mm-hmm. Intuition, communication, and when you do that, you get a lot of wins because you don't wait for it to 100% work. Not only will I make it work, I have a good feeling that it works, and I'm willing to do the repetitions, and that you remind me of like just any uncle that was really good in multiple forms of business.
Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades, and has wisdom from that. And also the value comes in the relationships you build in business that allows you to leverage your position. And so that's really cool. But what I think about even moving too fast, when you compare your skill set and your journey with the losses and the wins, there are many like to get into real estate, and then to get into real estate investing, and then to get into wholesaling, get into those. Most people won't ever do it.
Yeah. No doubt.
So to have only made $7,000 or lost $50,000 on one deal that you have, but to lose some thousands or have some bumps in the road, you have PJ with in the last 5 years 10 bumps in the road, and then you have this guy we'll call him Chris that never got in real estate investing because he didn't believe in himself, or he wasn't hard-headed enough to say I'm going to try it. So if that's a tax, the $7,000 or any other type of loss, if that's the tax of it, you're where you're supposed to be. And you you made more money than you lost, made more friends than you lost, made better friends than you lost, had better experiences, and the trajectory that you're at is better. I mean, if you was in school right now, you'd be punching somebody's clock.
Yeah. No.
And I don't know how much fulfilling that would be, or the ability for our brother to be able to walk, in our footsteps, for him to put the grind in. Somebody had to do it. And so I look at that component, and then I come right back to you, and I just look at your willingness to continue to commit.
Yeah.
That has to be your biggest skill set. That has to be your biggest skill set. Your willingness to commit and figure it out. That's something you want to keep real close to you. Remain committed. And we all have real estate journeys. We all do. But if I tell you the people, I mean, we're live right now with my Deal Mastery members right now, and some amazing people. The majority, the course in the community is free to access it. Because myself, as well as Trey and Kaylin, we believe in providing a lot of value. And we're fortunate enough for you guys to have taken your time and driven over an hour to come out here, right? Be very clear. I'm not getting paid. They're not getting paid. We got coffee, and they brought it, right?
Had some a little bit of breakfast earlier.
Yeah, that's it. But when you look at when I look at even like when we look at the data, right? We should have asked. I'm afraid left the data of those that would have access to you guys' meetups, right? Or a school community. It's free. These meetups are free, and you get Chick-fil-A. You can take some home.
Yeah.
But don't do that. Those numbers are significantly high.
Yeah.
And the breaking barrier, the people that break the barrier of getting into real estate is super, super low. Biggest thing is they don't commit. They don't keep showing up. And so nothing that you're doing is, I don't know if it's easy or not. Nothing that you're doing, there's a lot of people do. A lot of people talk though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. Our generational.
I hear it almost every day.
But yeah, who's gonna show up and sink their teeth in the mud?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who's gonna do it? They're not. Once again, that's why I continue to just be so encouraged by a lot of what you're committing to.
Yeah.
Because at 23, you just turned 24. At 23, it's easier to go do the fun stuff.
Yeah.
And not to say we can't find joy out of this, but it would be funner to just go hang out all day at 23, I'd imagine, and not do the things like sacrifice, grow, learn, be uncomfortable, be held accountable.
I don't know. What's your definition of fun, though?
Well, I'm going off my brother Aman's. I'm talking about statistical fun for a 23-year-old. Statistical. Statistically.
I'll say one thing for him right now is that one thing me and him always give credit to him. Like at his age, man, I was out having fun, partying. Right? I'm out having fun, partying, doing all types of dumb shit. Even though I knew that, like, hey, this is my journey. This is what I need to get into. This guy at his age, how focused he is, how committed he is. It's like same thing you were saying, Jake. Even though I started around his age, but I wasn't fully into it. He's always into the office on time, leaves on time, comes in all the time, barely ever takes any days off. He's just in it really to get it to that point where it's like, I don't know if it's really trying to prove himself or he's trying to say in a way that, hey, like, I want to reach my highest potential, right? as you can.
I think for some people, it's just, I don't even think it's super intentional sometimes. Like, I don't know for you if it's actually intentional or if it's just part of how you move. Because it's like, sometimes lately, for me, I've actually been very, very intentional with increasing my work ethic, increasing how much more I can work, how fast I move in things. But just at base level, when I was working, when I was doing things, people said, "Oh, you're doing a lot," and I was like, "This just feels kind of normal. Like, why wouldn't I do X, Y, and Z?"
Yeah, so you get a good feeling out of it, in a sense. Like, I think some people, like, they'll, like, just, like, feel bad in a sense. Like, like FOMO or, like, whatever it is. Yeah, like, people get that sense of that, but it's also just, like, I get a sense of satisfaction that I'm, like, with the guys in the office. And, like, at the end of the day, these guys are, like, my backbone, right? They're, like, my support system, and they've always been that for me. So it's, like, I feel, like, also, like, blessed at the same time, because I talk to a bunch of new wholesalers all the time, or anybody new in the real estate industry in general. And they are just alone, in a sense. Yeah. So it's, like, I also want to kind of, like, give back in that way, in terms of, like, always I tell people, like, hey, if you guys need help, like, with a deal or whatever it is, like, I'm not gonna charge you. Nobody, like we've had it a couple of times where it's like PJ will hop on a call with somebody else's deal, and he'll just help them just to help them.
Yeah, it's building goodwill in the universe. It's building goodwill in a tight industry.
Yeah, goodwill. Yeah. I mean, the long run it pays off, because if you help someone out with a deal in the future, they have a deal to dispo out, they'll come to us with dispo out. We'll make money in the long run.
Yeah.
Right. Or they'll partner with us on the deal, or they'll lend us money or something. We'll give them passive income. So. Even the meetups, I mean, Jake, they've been a game changer for us. I mean, the amount of private money lenders we've gotten from there, people we partnered with, or just people in general that we built good relationships with, it's been over. We got an intern from there. We got an intern. This, mom came into our meetup, right? And she's like, I have a son, he's 14, and he wants to get into the business world. And we started thinking for our own selves back at that age. And Amon's like, you know what? Why don't we do he has time off. Why don't we start a summer internship program at iBuy Central Valley? So he started coming in every single day. He started doing our social media for us. We took him to properties with us. Now he can put down his resume when he goes to college. Like, I worked with these guys. I helped him build out their company and this and that. And he dabbled a little bit in real estate at 14 years old.
Changed his freaking trajectory.
Yeah, completely.
Very different once you walk through a property.
Mm-hmm. Very different.
Very different.
Yeah.
Very different when you see those escrow disclosures, escrow documents come in, and you see that net. Right?
Yeah. Or we walk into probably see a squatter, like, oh my god. That's when you call up Jake, man. I got one sitting in the closet right now.
Really love to see the two of you do a pod, right? I would really love to see that. The thing, and I'm going on a whim once again. There's so many more things about PJ I keep learning. We have similar personalities, and when you look at like what we're doing with real estate, right? Obviously, it keeps the lights on.
I think your mic's on mute.
With personalities are important, but intentionality is I think greater than that. It allows you to do what you want to do when you say you're going to do it. But I think that I'm going to see you guys on a podcast and talk about a variety of things, because you do have a lot of similarities, not just growing up in the same season, but I think with a guy like me or PJ, sometimes we're just having fun with it till we're done with it, meaning that's only as far as it's going to go. When he's done, he's done. Like, oh, but you can make more money. I'm cool. Right, I'm going to golf, or I'm going to grow my family, whatever it shall be, and that's for sure. That's what I struggle with, being staying in the game with a lot of things, because sometimes when I'm done with it, I am done with it. But the older you get, and the more deeper involved you get with things that have more value, you do want to hang in there a lot longer. Mm-hmm. For the two of you, the similarity that I keep seeing, a variety of things, but. That's why I want to encourage you from my heart to your heart, right? And my heart to your eyes, not just your commitment that will take you, it's not a comparison, past big bro. It's when we're done, we're done. Yeah. With you, you're structuring the foundation of it. Trey is very, very foundational. He wants to build a concrete foundation with piers, with walls, with inspections. We're not even pulling permits. All right, you guys are pulling permits on the foundation you're growing, and when you do that, you continue to build the blocks on it, and it makes sense for the way you learn. Right?
Definitely.
And you know what though? I'm going to challenge you hardcore on that, because you're still young as shit. You're only 34. You know how old Colonel Sanders was when he started KFC? He was in his 50s, and he was in his like mid to late 50s. Yeah. So yeah, I'm young, but I hate the whole age thing because as we continue to progress and medicine continues to progress, we may not be alive for drastically longer than the current age range is now, but we're able to be aware for much longer. We're able to extend the quality of our life. Maybe not the age to which we live, but the quality of life. So there you go. So you're only 34 years old. So I think that the biggest thing with you is like, if you just learn how to do more delegation and get to the things that you enjoy, you can build those foundational pieces as well. But you're not that much older. Okay. Gary Vee didn't start his first business until he was 33 years old. Now it's $100 million business.
Steve, let me add a little context, and then I'm gonna tap PJ on the shoulder without guiding him to his own response. By no means am I saying that it's done. By no means. What I'm saying is 34 and 22 is a big number, right? We're talking about 12 years. I'm gonna keep grinding. It's not over. But I also looked at a personality standpoint. When I say when you're done with it, you're done with it. What I'm saying is that let me ask you, what does that mean to you?
When you're done with it, you're done with it. My biggest thing is, man, I want to be able to do what I want with who I want whenever I want, right? Making so much income, whether it's per month or per year, that I can just step up and leave the office. And my biggest thing for me is that, with my wife and everything, getting traditionally married this year, is that being able to travel and go. Yeah, appreciate it. So being able to travel with her whenever I want, be able to step out, be able, in the future, homeschool our kids when we do have them. So that's what the definition of when I'm done with it is, that like, hey, I can just completely step away from this for like 2-3 months and it's operating and thriving on its own.
Do you plan on stepping away from it?
I'm 22. I have no idea. I don't think so.
No, you can't put age in it now. See that?
Okay, you know what? I won't say that I'm 22. The number of years that I've been in business,
right?
I don't know.
Right. So just at a just clarity, because I don't think so though. I know you challenged me, and I think that just know what I know about you. No, when you get my age, you won't. But it's a matter of preference. It's a matter of personality. It's a matter of skill set. It's a matter of what naturally drives you and then what makes you intentional, right? And that's why I was looking at the similarity. Now, everything I could be saying could be trash. I mean, you could throw it away. When you look at entrepreneurial and you look at diving into real estate and how you garner the relationship and how you conduct relationships, it's not that there's a lot of differences, because I spoke with you one-on-one many times. I spoke with you. They're different personalities, and that's fine. I could see why for you would get to a chapter and say, I'm done. And that's cool, because for me, it's like, and that could be 50, that could be 60, that could be $100 million, $200 million. And it's not about money with my brother right here. It's not about the money with me. But for the two of you, it's really not about the money, and it's really not about being done. The way you build it will be how you take care of it in anything, right? If you build a home or you build a house or you build a flip, and how you appreciate it, that doesn't make him unappreciative or me unappreciative. But the way you guys are building your individual concepts and philosophies and things you're getting into, it just warrants you not to be done.
I think it has much more to do with personality than age.
I talked about, none of it has anything to do with age.
I agree with you, though.
None of it has anything to do with age. Yeah. But there's a value in age, meaning that if you started when you were 21 and your big brother was doing things at 21, not giving you anything, right? Quit your job, they said. Quit your job, they said. Who told you to quit school?
No one. It was just a decision I made on my own.
So what I'm saying is how it is built can give some statistical projections of how it may end. Quit your job. And so you had to have a conversation with yourself like, no, I mean, I came this far. I'm doing this. Mom said do this. Dad, it's everything I did. My brother and my older cousin are forcing me to do it. I'm doing it. I kind of don't want to do it. I don't know if they're right. What if they're wrong? So when you get in there, when you let go of the side of the boat, like, I have to make this work because I kind of already didn't want to do it. So when you started this, it was very, very structured. It was very, very committed. Whether you flip your first property or not, I don't think you really, I mean, I want to, But had you not done that right on your first property, would you have gone and done something else entrepreneurial and figured it out?
Yeah. I mean, my biggest thing is, man, like, at the end of the day, we want to get to a point where you can literally do whatever you want when you want. Am I going to say I'm going to sit in front of a TV like a couch potato? Absolutely not. I'll always learn like an absent mind is the devil's playground, right? So like whether I'm not going to ever retire, will I semi-retire? Absolutely. Am I going to still keep doing deals, going on podcasts, helping other people get into real estate, traveling, doing stuff like that? That's what I really want to get to. But the real estate's the type of thing, man, is like you'll see some of these people 70, 80, 85 years old still cranking out deals left and right. Because once you build that muscle of building relationships, connections, and doing the deal, becoming like a deal engineer almost, you can do it left and right. Real estate's the one thing that's been around since forever, right? So once you get the process down and everything, it starts to get a little bit fun.
Agreed. What give me some projections you see about our brother 5 years from now?
What I kind of really see is that we're building out iBuy Central Valley. Our goal is to go from, up from Sacramento down to Kern County, all the Central Valley. What I really see him doing is really building out the company to a point where everyone really knows about us in the Central Valley. Like, hey, we can dispo with these guys. We can sell him a deal. I always tell him, like, he's like the brand ambassador. The reason why we set up these meetups was for the dispo department. So people could send us their deals. We could partner with them on it. So 5 years from now, I can see that, he's built out a team under himself, like a little ecosystem in iBuy Central Valley where they're cranking out their own deals, and he's working on his family's development projects, and he's doing the things that he loves while still, like you were saying, he's the type of guy that really loves the people that are working with them, keeping intact with them. You know what I mean? So I think he'll always still keep growing that side of things.
Yeah, and just to touch on that a little bit too, I think like a huge part of it too is like I've recently really been thinking about it and like really working towards is treating like we call like departments, right? Like disposition department, acquisition department, like but actually making like a real department. Because it's like me, him, and Aman always talk about all the time. We should be able to get to the point where we can, go to vacation on the other side of the world for like 2-3 months, and the business should still be making money.
Not just surviving, but thriving.
Yeah, and
Agreed.
yeah, exactly. So I think a huge part of that is also just being understanding of the current position I'm in. Like that's not gonna happen tomorrow, right? So I still have a lot to learn. And of course, everybody can always learn more, but especially for me, since I'm like just starting out almost a year into the business, I'm not going to be able to just leave like 2-3 months at a time. I don't have the luxury of that just yet, but I have that goal. I have that like perseverance mindset that I can get there and that I will. It's just a matter of I need to set our department up for that success and that level of ambition for them too. And what does that come back to? It comes back to our guys. We got to make sure that at the end of the day, they feel like they're valued so much at our company that, if somebody else were to come and be like, hey, like we'll offer you a position, they'll be like, why would I? Like even outside of the culture, we want to be able to have it to the point where it's like they're able to take like vacations and like do whatever the things they need to do, because at the end of the day, we all have family.
Yeah. We're big on reverse engineering. One time I was up all night, man. I'm thinking about how can my acquisition guy make $20,000 a month? How can he make $20,000 a month? And I'm thinking back and forth as like, how many offers would he have to give out? What can he get up to? Because if he's making $20,000 a month, of course, iBuy Central Valley is going to make a lot of money too, right? But a lot of people, and we came to this too, a lot of old way of thinking is like, let me drive the company's profit. We'll figure out the rest later. If you obsess about your team members reaching their goals, you'll surpass your goals, always. And that's something I learned actually to Lyft, the competitor of Uber. Their CEO said, he's like, we're going to focus on our drivers and our riders will end up becoming, really content with what they're having. So you focus on your culture, you focus on your team, and everything else will figure itself out.
Yeah, because they're the ones at the end of the day delivering the service.
Yeah.
They're the face of the company in that extent.
I like that. Trey's, he is a student of students, and he reverse engineers a lot of things. And it really forced me to kind of take it from my own perspective, get away from my own perspective, and kind of analyze things from that reverse engineering approach. And Elon Musk is somebody, he's reading his current book, and somebody he really shares some of his ideas with me, right? So my question to you, Trey, is when you look at businesses, growth, right? Your experience in business, you've been in business well over a couple of years now. What do you think are some of the common things that these gentlemen are doing, and kind of what you believe in Elon Musk? Is there a commonality of some pieces?
One of the most interesting things that I really, really love about life and business is the dichotomy of it, because you can be successful no matter what path you take as long as you commit to that path. Because Elon Musk, one quote in the beginning of the book, in the first few chapters that he states, is he actually believes that it's counterproductive for the managers to be friends with their employees. He believes that the manager's primary job is to drive them towards the mission. And obviously all of his companies are massively successful. But then you have Gary Vee, and Steve Jobs was similar to that as well. Then you have Gary Vee, who's all about like the mindset that you guys are talking about, which is like, it's my business, not the employee's business. I work for my employees. They don't work for me. So he's very much about them. And I've kind of gone back and forth over this past 2 years in business trying to figure out what route should I take? What route do I take? And I believe that it comes down to who you are as a person. When you look at Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, they're not people. You are a person's person, right? Like, you love connecting with people. So that's the route that you guys take. And I admire that a lot, because I think that reverse engineering that from a hiring somebody perspective and how can I help them reach their goals, and then that will then help me reach my goals. That's huge. That's huge, because you're incentivizing them to work really hard. And it's not always based on a monetary point of view. Monetary is great, right? But also, what about from a work-life balance standpoint? What about from a title standpoint? What about from a responsibility standpoint? One question I asked one of my friends that's in college right now is, I asked her, what do you care about when you get your first job? Do you care about the money? Do you care about the job title? Because some people really do care about that stuff. Do you care about the responsibilities, or do you care about the work-life balance of the thing? Because all three they might combine to a certain extent, but they're all very different. So I love the way that you guys have the incentivization. You guys think about that stuff and helping people achieve their goals. But again, I think of the dichotomy of you can do this or you can do that. And each way can be successful, but the people that you attract by developing that culture are so drastically different. So that's kind of what I get from their situation, and something that I personally work on and try to analyze in my business and other people's businesses.
So, what do you? I got to get Trey for a little bit more, because he has a lot.
No, he's spitting fire right now.
Well, no, matter of fact, hold on. Trey's on the hot seat. You got a question for him?
No, I was actually gonna ask Trey about the whole reverse engineering. How do you go about it? Like, what's your 1, 2, 3 step formula for reverse engineering someone's goals?
Yeah, like I said, I do listen to a lot of Elon Musk and Steve Jobs, and one of the things in his book as well, actually, is he tries to break down to the core principles of something. What are the rules that you cannot break in this certain thing, right? So I usually try to come at it from two different perspectives. What are the things that are proven to be true when trying to accomplish X goal that I've seen from people that I have seen work it? Like one example is Alex Hormozi. That's someone I look up to from like a tactical standpoint. Why do I believe the things that he says? It's because I've seen him do the things that he says I should do. So when I look at an overall goal, I always start from the goal centered of what am I trying to accomplish? And I think that's one of the most important things. And then I look at it from the basic truths that I know personally to be real from what I've seen actually work. So that's why I listen to a lot of Gary Vee, a lot of Alex Hormozi, a lot of Elon Musk, because these people have accomplished the things and they practice what they preach. So when I reverse engineer, I always start with the goal, and then I combine it with the basic fundamental truths of what I believe based on what I've seen, and then I just work my way throughout the process.
I think that's a great point you brought up with Hormozi too, because that actually reminded me of something that he said. Like, I think he quoted from Charlie Munger, but it was more so of like, everybody thinks of like, how can I create for example, like an amazing business that's like, netting millions on top of millions of dollars a year. But his steps that he takes is like, wait, what if I think about the other way? Like, what if, like, what would really, really, like, ruin $1 million on top of $1 million business? And he'll just take those steps and just do the opposite effect of that.
Yeah.
Right.
That's also a really interesting way.
Because a lot of people, for them, it's like easier to think of like the negatives and how to make it into a positive versus vice versa.
Yeah. And I've met people that think that way. I have a hard time thinking that way because I move so quickly. I think that's really easy because Alex Hormozi, as big of a following as he has, he's also a super analytical guy. Like he's a guy that can test and test and test and test to find the right thing, right? I move a little bit too quickly and I'm a little bit too impatient for that on a daily basis. So I'm just like, go, 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 go. Let me find the person that's done it. Let me see that they've done it right and just believe that because I have bigger and better things to focus on. So I think it's important to surround yourself with people that view it in both different perspectives. What people look at it from, okay, how can this thing fail versus what people look at it as in, there's no way this thing could fail. Let's just get it done. And that combination of the two is so important. And what percentage of the combination you have will determine what kind of culture your business has. Because if you have 70% here and 30% there, that could be a very good balance. But what is going to be the cultural effects of having that balance versus 50-50 versus 70-30 the other way? So I think it's important to have both. The balance of both is an interesting one that I'm going to be interested to see as I continue to build my business.
No, I think at the end of the day too is like important to understand a lot of these people you watch on social media, I go on there too, is take what really works best for you. You know what I mean? I remember you're watching 9, 10 different people, Grant Cardone, PBD, all these guys are great to listen to, but you really got to pick those 1 or 2 people that you really hone in on and then implement that, one step, idea, action, constantly. So that's really what's kind of worked out for me. I think for us in general, like marketing, we want to test it out. All right, look at the risks. Now just test it for 90 days and see if it works. If not, remove it and put something else.
You know what's interesting about that process is it's a feedback loop. And that's another thing that I've learned from the people I look up to, the importance of feedback loops. And something that you guys do that I don't see in a lot of businesses is the data. And people hear data and they're like, okay, why do I need data? Whatever, it doesn't impact my business. I know that I make this amount of money. But all data is these mini feedback loops that you're getting. When I take X action, I get X result. And the more that you can break that down, coming back down to the fundamental truths of what action leads to what result, when you're able to have as many of those feedback loops as possible, you then know what works versus what doesn't work. Exactly. What can I do to get the best result for this unit of time, energy, and money? That's what it comes down to. I think a lot more people should take that a lot more seriously. Just the feedback loops, the data, when it comes to people as well. When I have this conversation with this person, what will come from this? You know that if you give, you're going to get X return, right? And even that's an intangible feedback loop.
Yeah. It also it's a confidence level too, man. Because if I'm just sending out a bunch of letters, bunch of postcards, and like I land like 2-3 deals a month, but just like you're like living in this constant anxiety without your KPIs, constant anxiety, just hoping, hey God, I hope this next one's going to be a deal here. But if I know every 5,200 pieces is going to equal a deal or somewhere around that, when it's like in the 4,700th or 4,800th, I'm anticipating that next deal to come. It builds confidence and camaraderie in the office. So data is so important. I was never a data guy before, he got involved with me, Aman, who just left. But after we started looking at the data, I can go to my sales guy and give him something to work towards, which I never could before.
Some predictability.
Yeah, some predictability.
Right?
Exactly.
And a story, a map, right, of where we at, where we've been, where we're going, where we should be. And that provides, me and Trey, I always tell Trey, clarity provides charity. And the clearer you are with whatever you're trying to achieve and take down, the more abundant the results can be. And so that's really cool. I want to shift and ask you all, actually individually, a question. There's this phrase.
We should hop into Q&A after as
well. Okay. How much time do we have?
We're at 1:52. We're going to end at 2. So.
All right.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll be quick. Well, matter of fact, the two of you. All right, because me and Trey can connect. There's this time called what do you call it? Imposter syndrome. All right. And it kind of has a negative connotation to it, but probably let me start with you. with imposter syndrome, sometimes our limiting beliefs or our previous beliefs or cultural beliefs, things that our parents told us, will have us acting like this or projecting like this and other things. Do you think you face or have any imposter syndrome as you determine whether you're built for this or you're supposed to be doing like this, or maybe should we do something different?
I think when I first came in, I had a lot of that, especially because, I worked 4 years in college to get my degree in order to become or get into a corporate job. And then all of a sudden, like a year and a half in, I'm leaving that all behind. So I think I had a lot of just like, I don't know if I would call it self-doubt, but I would just say like you were kind of saying like anxiety earlier. I'd say I had a good amount of anxiety earlier. So, but now that the work that like we've all put in as a company and what the guys helped me to develop on this discipline department, it's also made me a lot more comfortable, but not comfortable in the sense that like I can just like drop everything and leave, but comfortable in the sense that what I'm doing is like starting to work. So I guess the fruits of the labor is part of it to an extent.
And we face that imposter syndrome. Before I go to our brother PJ, you're here. You're built for it. Don't doubt that. Let's move forward. You got it. PJ, what you got from you ever face or do you face imposter syndrome, or what's your thoughts on that?
So when I first started in 2018, 2019 without these guys, I had I was trying wholesaling. I was doing everything, man, marketing and acquisitions and dispo and KPIs and all that stuff. And KPIs were just a bunch of zeros. So like when I got involved, and I did have imposter syndrome at that point. I'm like, bro, I'm not a data guy. I do not like going on the computer. I like going out in public, building relationships, talking with people, kicking the shit with my contractors. And
I told you, me and him were twins. I keep telling you, Trey. I know somebody.
I got my landscaping guy. His name is Sanchez, man. We get into it, man. You'll see our texts and stuff on negotiation.
Yeah.
He'll just send me dollar signs, and I'm trying to negotiate with him back and forth, left and right. I'm like, I got another call on the left side, another quote real quick. You gonna come down on the price real quick? He's like, oh, I'm at 7,000. I come down to 6,000. I'm like, come on, 5,800. Keep it going. He comes down a little bit, but. That was my imposter syndrome. When I got involved with these guys, I'm like, okay, acquisitions, talking with sellers, getting deals to the finish line, that's what I like to do. So I had imposter syndrome when I was just dealing with KPIs and all that other stuff in the business that I absolutely did not like doing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. For sure. But that was good. You guys really just dropped a whole lot of jewels.
I have two quotes I want to share real quick that I think are really good with it.
Come on.
Because this is, I deal with imposter syndrome actually way more than I probably realize, but I hate saying I have imposter syndrome because I don't want to add that title to myself, that label, exactly. Because I don't believe, I don't actually innately believe in that. I believe it's just a confidence thing. And there's two quotes I always think about when it comes down to it. One is by Alex Hormozy, and it says, "You don't become confident by shouting affirmations in the mirror, but by having a stack of undeniable proof that you are who you say you are. Outwork your self-doubt." So if you have imposter syndrome that I can't do this thing, just do the thing and tell yourself to shut up because your emotions have nothing to do with it. It's just the work, just the action of sitting down at the computer and typing in the numbers or picking up the phone and making the call or going and doing the thing, and that will destroy that. And the other one is by Elon Musk, and I actually have a poster of this, and it says, "Optimism, pessimism, fuck that, we're going to make it happen." It's just believing that you'll make it happen, just making it happen, just doing the thing. That's all it has to do, because you think about these things. I mean, running companies that are worth billions and trillions and have hundreds and thousands of employees, it comes with stress, right? I mean, nobody's done it until they've done it. So if they're doing it, why can't you do it? It proves that humans have the capability to do the thing, and me and you, we're not that much different. We're made of the same composition from an atomic standpoint. So why can't we do it if they're doing it?
Get it done.